What is up, everybody? Today we are reviewing the official Knees Over Toes Knee Ability Zero book. I have been following this program for over a year, a whole knee injury. I made a bunch of videos about it. I've reviewed the actual online program, the coaching program. This video is going to be a review of the book, so you can get this book with a link in the description. It is an affiliate link. If you use it, I get like 80 cents. So that's you can help me out, you know? How we're gonna do this video is first I'm gonna go over what is the content of the book. The book has a table of contents, what it is, the exercises, how they're explained, like how the book medium communicates what the information is. Then I'm just gonna kind of go over all of the exercises. I do wanna say all of this you can pretty much find on Knees Over Toes Guys Instagram or YouTube channel. I'm not like giving anything away because what the proposition of his program itself is you sending in your videos and getting coached and making sure you're doing all the exercises like exactly right with somebody personally looking over the videos you send. So a video like this, it's still gonna benefit you to buy the book after watching this video. So I feel like I'm communicating this all right, so let's get into it. So this is how the book is laid out. It starts just kind of with Ben Patrick's story, which is, you know, if you haven't heard it, a pretty powerful story. The dude was like torn up knees really bad, genetics, really like the worst possible situation for knees, right? So he just kind of tells that story if you haven't heard it. Then it gets into the 8 exercises, and each chapter is each exercise, right? And then it goes over how to do the exercise, and it's super in-depth, right? There's pictures and everything, how to do it, and it shows also how to scale it up and regress it if you are experiencing pain doing any of the exercises, right? So it shows an easier way to do it if the first way or whatever is too hard for you, or if it makes you experience pain, which is one of the things that the book says never to do. So you should never work through pain, you know, because it's all about like training the knees in these kind of compromised positions to be strong in those positions, right? But if we are experiencing pain getting into the position, we can potentially make our injuries worse. So a little tip from the book there for you: don't work through pain if that wasn't obvious. I can show you some of the pictures and stuff. Crack this puppy open quick. All right, so here's an example. So this is the Patrick step. Your foot is flat on the ground and you're like reaching your heel out with your toe pointed up, right? So how the book kind of communicates it is like, this is the full version. This is how you would do it regressed, okay? So, you know, you shorten the step, right? And then, you know, if you have to regress it even more, here's like a shorter step showing supporting the hand by grabbing onto a rail. So that's kind of like the in-depth how-to way that the book goes about teaching all the exercises, and it's like that for every exercise, which is pretty cool. Then after they show how, they explain why each of these exercises is important. So for example, the tibialis raise is one of the first ones in the program, and after they explain how to do it, they explain that like the tibialis, which is the muscle on the front of your shin, they explain that it's super important because that's the muscle that, like, when your knees goes over your toe, that's the muscle that's kind of flexing and absorbing the shock before the force gets to your knees. So the stronger that muscle is, the more it's able to absorb the shock of landing, slowing down, jumping, and all that stuff. So it goes super in depth on everything, on how each little muscle that is being strengthened contributes to like knee, ankle, hip, flexibility, and strength and durability and longevity. So it's just a bunch of information, really. And I think that this is important because it's been shown, or at least I've heard, that when you know scientifically like how something is working that you're doing, whether it's like medicine you're taking or these exercises that you're doing, you can like get more out of it. I don't know if that's like a scientific, actual psychological thing, but that is definitely a me thing that works. So this is gonna be something that even if you do know a lot of this stuff, reading over it in an afternoon is gonna really cement in the benefits that you can potentially get from doing these exercises. Okay, so next I'm just gonna breeze through what the exercises are. There are exercises that are building up your ankle and calf flexibility and stability in order to get to the like actual knee exercises, and then there's the actual knees over toes exercises. Then there are like mobility and stretching things that will just enable you to get more out of the knees over toes exercises. So there's kind of 3 different phases that you work through in the program that are outlined in the book. So the first part, which is kind of below the knee flexibility and strength, involves the tibialis raise, which is where you lean on the wall and you raise your toes to flex your tibialis. It's kind of like a bicep curl of the muscle on the front of your shin. It's a pretty unique exercise that I'd never heard of before, knees over toes guy, and it's one of the most helpful. The next is the FHL calf raise. That stands for flexor hallucis longus. So strengthening this helps your feet, helps your ankles, helps your calves, helps your knees. Super cool. Then the next exercise is a knees over toes calf raise, which helps the soleus, which is like the other part of your calf, that is the part that's behind the Achilles tendon, and it also like helps the actual Achilles tendon too. So those 3 are the like pre-knees over toes work exercises that you do. And then you get into the knees over toes exercises. The first one is the Patrick step, which is where you lean back with a straight spine, you extend one foot in front, and you squat down, reaching the knee over the toe of the working leg. And this is one of the exercises that really, really helps the part of your quad that's right by your knee. So it's super important in protecting the knee, because the muscles around the knee are what absorbs the shock of like using the knees, right? So that really helps the VMO, the vastus medialis oblique, which is the biggest quad muscle, the real teardroppy one. And then the other like knees over toes exercise is the ATG split squat, which is the super like knees over toes. This is the one that you look the weirdest to do if no one's heard of this before. It's where it's a lunge, but you're doing this, it's a split squat, and it's kind of like a lunge, but your knee is going like way the hell over your toe. Your hamstring is covering the entire lower portion of your leg. If you kind of look at it from the side, you can see that the hamstring is completely above the lower portion of the leg on that bent knee, because the knee is sticking out so far. And then you're gonna want your spine like straight up also. What that does is it strengthens the knee in that knee over toe position, improves ankle flexibility too, because on that working leg, the ankle is in the dorsiflexed position, which is like contracted. It's like lifting up. Dorsiflex is lifting up and plantar flexion is pushing down. You're getting increased ankle mobility, knee strength, and hip flexor length on the opposite side too, which is super important. Core, knee, hamstring stability all over the place. So hips are important too, especially when we're sitting down all day. It's like being able to stretch your hip flexor is a good thing to be able to do regardless. And then those are the 2 like actual knees over toes exercises, and the rest of the program has 3 different like stretches or core strengthening exercises. One is, it's called the elephant walk, which is basically just like a hamstring stretch when you're completely bent over, being able to straighten your legs while your palms are touching the ground. Hamstring flexibility is just important in being able to like move into those ranges of motion to use like your power, right? As an athlete, the more flexible you are, the less likely you are to just get injured, you know? So hamstring flexibility, super important. The next like core / stretching exercise is the L sit. So that's sitting on the ground and lifting your legs. And this is basically like a bicep curl for your hip flexors. And the hip flexors are super important just in like general speed and core stability, because they lift up your legs, and you know, your legs have to move fast to run fast, right? Like newsflash, right? So being able to contract the hip flexor and lift your leg up is super important in any sport, really. And the hip flexor also actually wraps around to like your spine and lower back almost too. So just having strong and mobile hip flexors can help your core in general and alleviate like back pain even too. That's the next exercise. And the last one is called the couch stretch, which can start on the couch, but the goal is to be able to put your foot with your toe pointed, plantar flexion, against the wall, and then put your shoulders back onto the wall too. And that's just like super stretch of the whole front of your quad, like the entire quad, and hip flexor on that side too. Like the program has been talking about, the mobility in those muscles is just super important to be able to use them to their fullest potential. And that's it really. That's the book. That is, I mean, I read it in an afternoon. I'm really not a book guy. I'm more of an audiobook at 2x speed type guy. And this book was okay for me because of lots of pictures and not many words on the page. So you can read this book in an afternoon and improve your entire life. So I just kind of briefly went over everything in here, and there's tons more information in the actual book. So pick it up in the link below. It's going to be the first link in the description. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you to Ben Patrick for writing this thing, for improving the lives of so many people, including myself. And I will see you guys in the next video, where I will have more like exercise related durability and health type programs. If you're interested in like what I do personally for exercise, I've made tons of videos about this knees over toes experience that I've had, as well as just kind of a general video. It's like my June review, I think, that kind of goes over my broad fitness routine in general, if you're interested in some dude on the internet making videos in his room, fitness routine. So appreciate you watching again, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.